the Denver's defense, they just got better. The defense got better. They got rid of a couple players. I think I know they got rid of Akeem Talib, trade him to the Rams because they wanted to get younger, clear up cap space, etc., etc. This will propel Bradley Roby up to starters, but that's enough for the big part. Let's start by breaking down by position. Now, the defensive line. This was a good run defense. I think for the first 4 games they were allowed, they were stopping anyone that was running to them. But then the bye week happened, and they were on the field more. Teams were just wanting to impose their will, and eventually the teams were able to run the ball on them. I still think this is a good run defense team. But again, it starts with how long they're going to be on the field. I think the first real game where a team was able to run it successfully was definitely the New York Giants. Ironically, considering the Giants have one of the weakest run attacks in the NFL. Derek Wolfe, I think I'm trying to remember his name. He's not on that one. Oh, yeah, Adam Gotsis. I butchered that name completely. They will still man front 3 with probably with Pecco that they. Yeah, I'm trying to remember his first name. Oh yeah, Demonta Pecco. I think both those guys. I think all 3 of those guys still make a good, impressive front 3. They won't really get after the pass rusher, say like they had with Malik Jackson back in 2015. But these guys impose their will in the front 3, clogging up gaps and stuff in the run. I do want to see a little more pass rush. I think Wolf definitely brings that, but hey, continue to defend and run. Their edge rushers, you still got the great Von Miller, and this time he's got a better partner. He's got Bradley Chubb, who they drafted 5th overall. I think he'll work about as well as Leonard Williams going to the Jets back in 2015. You got a great player that, you're going BPA here. The quarterbacks that you probably wanted, Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield, they were gone. They weren't available. I think there was a little sleight of hand, if, say, Mayfield and Darnold were both there. I think they would have gone quarterback, but since Bradley Chubb slipped that far, they went with Chubb and said, let's just make our defense unbeatable. And this really does put a big question mark on 2 players, Shaq Barrett and Shane Wright. Now, apparently the Broncos did not exercise the 5th-year option for Shane Wright, probably hinting that they might trade him at some point. And it wouldn't shock me. Shane Wright's not a bad pass rusher, just durability. Durability is always key. If you're not on the field, and if you're on the field less than you are on a trainer's table, you are gone. They are not going to they're not going to have that much patience with you. I think Shane Wright can probably demand for a 4th, maybe lower, because the durability is definitely a problem, and he really hasn't had a show-off game where he's really showing off his skills. He hasn't really had a full 16-game season where we can really see how good he is. I think there are definite teams that do want Shane Wright who just want to improve their pass rush, just get pure quarterback chasers, and he'll have a market. I think one team that can definitely call the Broncos and get him would be their divisional rival, the Chiefs. Outside of Justin Houston, their pass rushers are pretty scarce. Dee Ford hasn't really been healthy. And I think the same goes for Shaq Barrett. Maybe they'll trade for him. They did tender him because he was a restricted free agent in the 2018 offseason. And I'm not sure they'll trade him. I think they'll hold him for a bit. And of course, they still got DeMarcus Walker that they drafted back in 2016. It's going to be real interesting to watch. Real interesting. Their inside linebacker, they still have Brandon Marshall and Todd Davis manning it. They're both pretty good. I think Marshall's the better pass cover, while Todd Davis is the better run stuffer. But I think they're keeping an eye on Davis's time with the team because they drafted Josie Jewell in the third, I believe in the 3rd round. And I actually liked watching Jewell very instinctive. He doesn't necessarily have the speed, but he has the ability. He has real good ability to not only play the run, but also drop back in coverage. His athleticism is very limited, probably because he's from uh, Iowa, and they don't really have the most athletic players on that team. But I think it's probably just depth, just in case injuries pile up. But that's a good that's a good emergency linebacker you got in Jewel. I really did like that pick. Now, time for the secondary. The secondary is definitely something to watch. Like I said, Talib was traded away, so now you got Chris Harris and Bradley Roby, probably the outside corners with Harris probably kicking in a slot as an emergency. So there's definitely going to be a major position battle for the third corner. Probably right now the early favorite is going to be Tremaine Brock, who they brought in free agency. But they got a lot of young players that they will try out. Isaac Yadam that they drafted could be someone to watch. Probably Brandon Langley. There's guys that are probably gonna probably look at. They might bring in some tryouts. Probably work out a trade at some point if no one really emerges as a clear winner. I think Tremaine Brock is just there just so they have a vet. So these young corners have a vet to beat. It's common in training camp. They'll just bring in a veteran and say, okay, here's who you have to beat. Here's who you have to defeat in order to really win the spot. Because if it's just a bunch of young guys going after young guys, it's not going to be as impressive. But when you have a vet, it really adds something. It really does something. Especially someone like Tremaine Brock, who's been in the NFL as long as he has, who's started for a couple different teams. Especially his most effective season is definitely when he was with Jim Harbaugh's Niners. But yeah, this is going to be real interesting to watch in that secondary. The safeties, right now it's free. As far as I know, it's free safety Justin Simmons. And I think they want to start Will Parks. Ironic thing is, both of them were drafted in 2016. And I think Elway really liked that secondary class because they got rid of TJ Ward in 2017 to start one of these guys. And it's really something to really notice. Drafting these players back in 2016, I think he saw something that he liked, and I agree with him. I think Justin Simmons is definitely a pretty good playmaking safety. They got him at a good spot, and I think he'll continue to rise. Now, the strong safety, I think it's going to be between Darian Stewart, who I think is just probably going to be there for the time being. I think Will Parks is probably going to handle the starting job. They did trade for Su'a Cravens, so I think Cravens is probably going to act as a backup for the time being while he reintegrates in the NFL because he had a semi-retirement in 2017 where he just took a year off and really self-reflect, which I'll give him credit for that. I wouldn't be surprised if they throw him back at linebacker if they're really struggling to find a fourth inside linebacker, and safeties are just performing way better than they needed, and they just need depth at linebacker. But overall, this is a good defense. This is a really good defense. Probably top 10 worthy, but again, what matters most is how long they're going to stay on the field. If they're on the field for 35 minutes, they're going to perform terribly. The over-under is that they should be around 30 minutes. Denver has to win the battle of possession. And if they do that, their defense will perform exemplary, and they'll win more games and capture this division. Now, I'm going to give my final thoughts, look at their schedule, and see you in the next video.